In this video, I'm going to share with you the responses to 7 common real estate questions asked of ChatGPT. This is Patrick Grosser with the 513 Flat Fee Real Estate Group at Fathom Realty. I've been a full-time realtor in the Cincinnati area since 2014. I've heard a lot about ChatGPT, about how it can help real estate agents to grow their businesses. I haven't heard a lot about how it might be able to help consumers to understand the real estate market and answer their most common questions. So these are 7 of the most common questions I typically hear as a full-time real estate agent. And I'm going to share with you in real time here what the responses are. I don't know what to expect here. So just take a look here and I'll give you my 2 cents on it as well as we go. So first one I'm going to ask is, what is the process of buying a home? Very common question that buyers want to know. Not something I typically get asked because they've already done some research to figure this out usually. So rather than Googling this, we're doing this in ChatGPT, which is going to basically compile the information it might be finding on search engines and other areas. So if you want to, you can certainly pause the video and read through this. But let me just kind of scan through and let you know what I think here. The process of buying a home can vary depending on the country and region where you live, but the general steps are as follows. Determine your budget. The first step in buying a home is to determine how much you can afford to spend. Consider your income, expenses, debts, and savings to come up with a realistic budget. Pretty obvious. Get pre-approved for a mortgage. Before you start shopping for homes, get pre-approved for a mortgage from a lender. This will give you an idea of how much you can borrow and what your interest rate will be. I wish more home buyers would do this. Typically, they don't do that. They search for properties first before they do any of this stuff. Looks like that we're going to get to search for properties later. Number 3, find a real estate agent. Find a reputable real estate agent in the area where you want to buy a home. The agent can help you find properties that meet your criteria and negotiate on your behalf. Again, most folks do number 4, search for properties, before they do number 3 or 2, or maybe even number 1. Work with your real estate agent to find properties that meet your needs and budget. Attend open houses, schedule private showings to see the properties in person. Most of the time, people just go on Zillow or Realtor.com or something like that, and they stumble into a real estate agent because they ask for a showing at a property and they're not sure how it works. And then that agent who advertises on that platform gets connected with them on the phone, and then they meet them for a showing. Make an offer. Once you find a property you like, you'll make an offer to the seller. Your real estate agent will help you to prepare a written offer that includes the price you're willing to pay, contingencies, and other terms. Home inspection and appraisal. After your offer is accepted, you will have a home inspection and appraisal to identify any issues with the property and to determine its value. Close the deal. If everything checks out, you'll finalize the deal by signing a purchase agreement, paying a down payment. Excuse me. The seller will transfer ownership of the property to you, and you'll take possession of the home. Move in. Once you've closed the deal, you can move into your new home. Be sure to update your address with your bank, credit card companies, and other important organizations. So yes, this is generally the process. There's a lot of detail that's left out, perhaps intentionally. I think it's a good overview, but it does cite a couple things like, find a real estate agent, get pre-approved for a mortgage, which means find a lender. So you would probably prompt you to ask some follow-up questions about where you could possibly find those. We may get to that in just a second. So let's look at the next one. What's the process of selling a home? So we're kind of seeing a similar format already. They're going to do a numbered list here, it looks like. Process of selling a home can vary depending on the country and region where you live. That would be very important because it doesn't even know what country we're asking about or what state or local region we're in. So this says it can vary. So this is very general information. Hire a real estate agent. Find a reputable real estate agent in your area who can help you price your home correctly, market it effectively, and negotiate with potential buyers. I would agree with that. Prepare your home for sale. Before putting your home on the market, make any necessary repairs or updates, declutter and clean, and stage your home to make it appealing to potential buyers. That's very true. That's something I always talk to home sellers about. It's something that they already know, but they usually don't know is which specific things do they need to update or repair. How much do they need to clean and declutter? Do they really need to stage the home, or can they use their current furniture, or can they leave it empty? And that kind of depends on the situation. Set a price. Work with your real estate agent to determine the right price for your home based on its location, size, condition, and other factors. You'll want to price your home competitively to attract buyers while also getting a fair price. I think that's a good overview. There's a lot more that goes into market analysis to figure out homes that have sold recently that are similar to yours, but this is the general idea. List your home. Your real estate agent will list your home on the local multiple listing service, MLS, and may also use other marketing strategies to attract potential buyers. That's true. Show your home. Potential buyers will schedule appointments to view your home. Make sure it's clean and tidy for each showing, and consider leaving the property during the showing so buyers can feel more comfortable and envision themselves living there. That's really good too. I would say don't consider leaving the property. Definitely leave the property for showings, because it's super awkward when sellers are there. It's a rare case that they ever are, because most people understand this, that if buyers are going to be living there, they want to kind of picture themselves being there. Negotiate offers. When a potential buyer makes an offer, you and your real estate agent will review it and decide whether to accept, reject, or counter the offer. Your real estate agent will help you negotiate the best possible price and terms. I agree with that as well. Close the deal. Once you and the buyer have agreed upon price and terms, you'll enter in a purchase agreement. The buyer will have the home inspected and will also obtain a mortgage. You will need to sign documents to transfer ownership of the property to the buyer. Once everything is complete, you'll receive the sale proceeds. This is really simple. The closing of the deal, there's multiple contingencies, financing, appraisal, inspection. There's a lot of more intricate details to this, but that's kind of a good overview. But I would probably flesh that out a little bit and explain that in more detail if anyone was interested. Move out after the closing. You need to vacate the property, remove all personal belongings, be sure to cancel any utilities, forward your mail, and update your address with important organizations. I would add update your shipping address with Amazon, because we get a lot of calls after closings nowadays where the sellers forgot to change their address to their new address on Amazon, and now they're getting packages delivered to their old address where the buyers now live. So I think that's a pretty good overview. Again, you want to dig in a little bit on number 7 there. And number 3 is definitely a process that you should go through with a professional. You can also work on looking at comparable homes online. There's a lot of information there. The question is to understand which factors are the most important, whether it's location or size of home or condition or all of the above. What is considered comparable and what is not. If you're not a real estate professional, you may not know the answer to that question. All right, we'll do the next one, number 3. This is about buying. What are the pros and cons of buying a home compared to renting? Most people rent first and then consider buying later. They want to know, should they continue renting, or should they consider buying a home? So it's going to give us another numbered list. So here's the pros or advantages of buying a home. Investment. Buying a home is a long-term investment that can increase in value over time, allowing you to build equity and potentially making a profit when you sell it. Control. As a homeowner, you have control over your living space. You can make changes to the property or suit your needs and preferences without seeking permission from a landlord. Stability. Owning a home provides stability and a sense of permanence, as you are not subject to the whims of a landlord who may decide not to renew your lease. Tax benefits. Homeownership comes with tax benefits, including the ability to deduct mortgage interest and property taxes from your income taxes. I would also add to that list, although I agree with those, customization. So you can paint your walls the color you want. You can change the flooring. Obviously, there's an expense to that of your time and money to upgrade your home or customize it, but you can do that when you buy a home. You have to work within your homeowners association restrictions if you have one for exterior updates. But you can modify your home as long as you're not doing anything crazy or anything drastically affecting the structure. You probably don't need a permit to do any of that, depending on where you're at. So I think that's important to note too. That's one of my favorite advantages of being a homeowner, is that I can do what I want with it. But I do like the idea of stability. Of course, as an investment, I think it's can be a good investment. I would never say that it is purely an investment, because it is where you live and you do need shelter, whether you're renting or buying. So it fulfills that need, which is a primary need. I do like the fact that you have control. You don't have to move out unless you want to. So, excuse me. Cons of buying a home. Cost. Buying a home can be expensive with upfront costs such as a down payment, closing costs, moving expenses, as well as ongoing costs such as mortgage payments, property taxes, maintenance, and repairs. That's one of the things that scares renters from buying quite a bit, is the cost. Responsibility. As a homeowner, you're responsible for all maintenance and repairs, which can be costly and time consuming, which is kind of repeating some of number one. But it's just reiterating that it's all on you as the as the homeowner. You can't call a landlord because you own the place. Limited flexibility. Owning a home ties you to a particular location, making it harder to move for job opportunities or other reasons. So this is the main reason I would recommend that those who are not sure that they want to live in a certain area for at least 3, 5, or more years. It depends on the market. Sometimes we've had people recently, with the market appreciating as quickly as it has, that have been able to buy and sell in a matter of several months and still been okay. I've had one recently that had to buy and sell within a matter of a few months, and they actually end up losing money just because the market didn't go up enough to accommodate for the cost of selling. So in recent years, you can be in a house for about a year and still make money, even considering the cost of selling. But definitely makes more sense if you're not sure where you want to live for the next couple years, a few years, you probably shouldn't buy a house. So flexibility, a lack of flexibility rather is a con of buying a home. I agree with that. Pros of renting. So advantages of renting and not buying. You have flexibility. Renting provides more flexibility than homeownership, as you can move more easily and quickly if you need to relocate. Lower upfront costs. Renting typically requires lower upfront costs than buying a home, as you do not need to make a down payment for pay closing costs. That's true as well. Limited responsibility. As a renter, you are not responsible for maintenance and repairs, which can be a significant expense and time commitment. So it's kind of the flip side of what we just talked about with buying. Cons of renting: no investment. Renting does not offer the potential for building equity or making a profit, as you do not own the property. That's the number one disadvantage. If you know where you want to live and you do want to be there long term, it doesn't make a lot of sense to continue renting. Limited control. As a renter, you may be subject to restrictions on how you can use the property and may not be able to make changes or upgrades without permission from the landlord. That's something that they didn't talk too much into the advantages of homeownership. It does say you have control over your living space. You can make changes. So we kind of touched on that, and I reiterated customization as part of that. No tax benefits. Renting does not come with the tax benefits of homeownership, such as the ability to deduct mortgage interest and property taxes from your income taxes. Now, there is a lot that's out there. A lot of people talk about deducting your mortgage interest, which you can do, depending on the situation and depending on other factors within your financial situation. A lot of times, if you're doing the standard deduction when you're doing your taxes, especially if you're married, that amount that you're paying in mortgage interest is actually usually quite a bit less for most people than the standard deduction, so it actually doesn't even come into play. So if you're thinking about buying a home because you want to deduct the mortgage interest and you're not really excited by the other advantages of buying a home, I wouldn't worry about buying a just rent if that's the case. That's not really that huge of an advantage, if at all, for most people. So let's look at the next one here. We'll take a look now. Number 4, I believe we're on. This is going to be more specific to our area, but this applies to any area. If you're not from Cincinnati and you're watching this, just insert your city here. What are the best school districts in Cincinnati? Now, as a real estate agent, I'm not allowed to answer this question because, or at least not to actually answer it directly with giving them my opinion, because I'm not allowed to try to steer people to live in certain areas. So it is one of the most common questions I get from buyers of homes, because they want to kind of make sure if they have kids that they are in a good school district. They typically, even if they don't have kids, they might want to buy in a good school district because they know it has better resale potential. It may appreciate more quickly, so it's a better investment. So I get this question a lot, and I usually direct them to some sort of research online rather than my opinion. That way they know I'm not trying to steer them in one direction or another. There are several excellent school districts in Cincinnati and the surrounding areas. Here are some of the best school districts in Cincinnati based on various rankings and performance metrics. It's not citing its sources here, so we don't know really where it's coming from. Indian Hill Exempted Village School District. This is consistently ranked as one of the best school districts in Ohio and the country. It has high graduation rates, excellent test scores, and a wide range of extracurricular activities. That is usually one of the top ones I see. Marymount City School District. This district has a strong reputation for academic excellence and offers a diverse range of programs and extracurricular activities, including a highly regarded music program. That's usually also up in the top 5. Wyoming City School District. This district is known for its rigorous academic curriculum and high test scores with a strong emphasis on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM education. Sycamore Community Schools. This district consistently ranks among the top school districts in Ohio and the country with high test scores, a wide range of extracurricular activities, and a focus on college readiness. So you start to see that some of the verbiage here is kind of repeated. It's among the top schools. It has high test scores, a wide range of extracurriculars, which honestly, if you were to look at an article online, or you want to look at these district sites individually, they might say some of the same things anyway. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just kind of becoming a little bit repetitive here. Loveland City School District. This district has a strong reputation for academic excellence and focus on personalized learning with a wide range of programs and extracurricular activities. It's important to know that each school district has its own strengths and weaknesses, and what may be the best fit for one family may not be the best fit for another. That is excellent advice, actually. And I've said something similar like that before. Some of my clients is, they ask me what are the best school districts, and I tell them what I have found or what my personal experience is, which is in the Forest Hills School District, which is not listed here. It's usually listed in the top 10. And so it really does depend. For me, I like where my kids are at. I don't know if these other ones would be better for them because I don't have experience with them. So it is very subjective. And of course, every student's needs may be a little bit different and families' needs may be a little bit different. And sometimes people don't want to just live in the best school district. They also want to live, within a certain distance of work or family or something like that. So they're trying to compromise between multiple factors when they're choosing where they're going to live. It's important to research each school district thoroughly and consider factors such as location, school size, extracurricular offerings, academic programs before making decisions. So you could do a Google search on this and kind of probably get a longer list. It might be a little bit more useful for this one because you're only getting 5, and there's dozens of them. However, this first line right here in this paragraph is actually exactly what agents should be saying. It doesn't really answer their question, but it is the correct answer to that question, is that it kind of depends on the situation. All right, next one is also going to be a local question, but also applicable to anywhere you are. So you can type in your city. I keep misspelling there. My clients want to always be in a safe area. So they ask me, what areas are safe? Well, that's very subjective. What do you mean by safe? That may mean something different to me than you. But we can look at crime statistics. So I'm allowed to point people to independent research. I can't give people my opinion and tell them, hey, you don't want to live here because it's not a safe area, because that's can be construed as me discriminating against people and trying to steer certain people to live in certain areas. So I think it's important as a real estate professional to answer these questions carefully by basically deflecting them to other research that's been conducted independently. Cincinnati has several suburbs that are known for being safe and family friendly. There's another term that we're not supposed to use as real estate agents, as family friendly, even though everybody knows what that means, and it's generally an innocent concept. Some people don't have kids and still want to live in an area that's safe. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have kids in order to want that. Some people feel offended if you tell them that it's a family friendly area if they're single or whatever. So have to be careful about that, but I think that's a common enough phrase. I think people understand what that means. Here are some of the safest suburbs in Cincinnati based on crime rates, like I mentioned, community surveys, and other factors. You might notice some of these are the same ones that are actually also the best school districts. Indian Hill, this suburb consistently ranks as one of the safest communities in Ohio and the country. It has a low crime rate and a tight-knit community with a strong emphasis on education. Well, that's the one we just saw up there, right? Number 1. If you don't know Cincinnati, you may not know Indian Hill is the most expensive suburb in Cincinnati. Well, maybe that's one of the reasons, right? Is safest and best schools. Wyoming, this suburb has a low crime rate and a strong sense of community with a historic downtown area and a range of community events and activities. That was number 3 on our list for schools. Madeira, this suburb is known for its strong schools, low crime rate, family-friendly atmosphere, has a walkable downtown area with shops and restaurants, as well as a range of parks and recreational facilities. Madeira was not on this list, but a lot of times you'll see Madeira in the top 5, and Loveland wouldn't necessarily be in the top 5, although it would be in the top 10 typically. Montgomery, this suburb has a low crime rate and a strong sense of community. We're seeing some of the same phrases used here. Literally the same start as Wyoming. This suburb has a low crime rate and a strong sense of community. With a range of community events and activities throughout the year. It also has a range of parks and recreational facilities. So you're starting to see, some of the same phrases. So that's some of the, I know part of what we're commenting on here is the actual answer, and part of it's, is ChatGPT really that good? Depending on what you're using it for. This information is not bad. It's actually pretty impressive. However, if I was to write a blog article about this, I wouldn't be repeating the exact same phrases word for word, right? So if you're looking at this from the angle of how can I write a blog on a specific topic, you can use this as a good starter, as kind of a framework, and you might use most of the information, but you do have to fact check it. And then you would also have to maybe reword some of these repetitive phrases. Blue Ash, this suburb has a low crime rate and a diverse range of amenities, including a large park system, a community center, and a range of shops and restaurants. So if you don't know, Blue Ash and Montgomery are both located within the Sycamore Community School District. Marymount is a suburb as well, but it's not listed on here. It doesn't have anything beyond 5. I didn't tell it to do 5, but it just did 5. So not sure if there's a reason for that. It's important to note that while these suburbs are generally considered safe, crime can occur in any community, and it's important to take precautions to protect yourself and your property. It's also important to research each suburb thoroughly and consider factors such as schools, amenities, and location before making a decision about where to live. So I think that's good, but very generic information as well. These are 2 questions that I'm really curious to see how ChatGPT responds, because it's based on kind of like current information, service providers. So if you're looking for a referral to an agent or to a loan officer, that's what we're going to talk about here in just a second. We'll see how it handles that. But we were talking about earlier, it recommended getting pre-approved for a mortgage. So you may ask, what is the current mortgage loan interest rate? You could type this into Google and get some feedback as well. But I'm curious to see what it knows here, because this is one of the first things you may be thinking before you even call a lender to get pre-approved to buy a house. You might want to know, like, before you talk to them, what's kind of standard right now for rates. That way you can have some sort of comparison when you're talking to a lender. So as an AI language model, I don't have access to real-time information, and the mortgage loan interest rate can fluctuate frequently. Well, there you go. So it's admitting its limitations. However, as of my knowledge cutoff date of September 2021, so my knowledge cutoff date of September of 2021. So I'm recording this in February of 2023. So this is about a year and a half behind. The average mortgage loan interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was around 3%, which sounds about right. Right now it's around 6%, so it's about double that. It's important to note that the mortgage loan interest rates can vary depending on a variety of factors, including credit score, down payment amount, and the current state of the economy. It's always best to check with individual lenders or a mortgage broker to get an accurate and up-to-date estimate of the current mortgage loan interest rate. So you would want to ask, I'm assuming it's not going to know who to talk to, because it doesn't know anything, since 2021. That's a little disappointing. So this next one I'm going to throw out there, I'm guessing is going to have a similar result here where they can't tell me anything current. But this is another thing that buyers and sellers are going to be asking before they meet a real estate agent is, who are the top real estate agents? In this case, Cincinnati, but it could be wherever you're from if you're watching from somewhere else. Here we go, same idea. I don't have access to real-time data as rankings, blah, blah, blah. However, there are several resources available that can help you find. One way to find top real estate agents in Cincinnati is to check websites that compile lists of top performing agents based on sales volume or customer satisfaction ratings. Examples of such websites include Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com. These websites typically provide information about the top performing agents in a given area, along with reviews and ratings from past clients. That's actually not bad advice. I would also add Google to that. So you can search on Google and you can look up real estate agents near me. And they'll, at least if they have a pin on their location on the map, it'll kind of show, doesn't necessarily say if they're good or not, but it says who's out there. And then you can look at their reviews, the number of reviews and the quality of the reviews that they have on there. So that's another way to do it. Another way to find top real estate agents in Cincinnati is to ask for referrals from friends, family, or colleagues who have recently bought or sold a home in the area. Personal referrals can be a great way to find a real estate agent who has a strong track record of success and is a good fit for your specific needs. That's great advice, honestly. It's important to note that the best real estate agent for you will depend on your individual needs and preferences. When choosing a real estate agent, it's important to consider factors such as experience, communication style, and knowledge of the local market. Be sure to interview multiple agents and ask for references before making a decision. So this is all good advice, but as you notice, this would be you get a better result if you were to type this question into Google. Who are the top real estate agents in Cincinnati? Now you probably get referral companies who are going to tell you, hey, I can help you find the top real estate agents in Cincinnati, and it's a free service to you. What you may not know is it actually charges the agents if they refer you to them. They actually pay a referral fee at closing. So although that doesn't affect you directly, indirectly, if you work with a company like that, you may not be able to get a discount from that agent because they have to pay this hefty referral fee at closing. So they may not be able to discount their fees that they're charging you. You may also just find some of the results on Google Maps, like you said, the ones that are near you. You can also look, I'm sure you'll see Zillow and Realtor.com and Redfin and things like that, the ones that have the ratings and the transaction history and reviews and everything from real estate agents. But yeah, I think the best thing to do is do a combination of talking to friends and family. Keep in mind that friends and family have probably only done this once or twice, maybe a few times, and that usually has not happened recently. I would ask for their advice in terms of personality. Did they like this person? Were they easy to work with? Were they always available? Did they respond quickly? Were they good with technology? Things that are important to you personality-wise and customer service-wise. I wouldn't ask friends and family for who do you think is a really great agent based on how many transactions they've done in customer ratings and things like that, because a lot of them typically don't do research on that, or they might not really just know. But I think a combination of those is a good way to find the right real estate agent for you. But yeah, I think overall, I'm pretty impressed with the results we've gotten here. Again, it's a little bit repetitive in certain points. You can see the length of the responses is almost identical to some of my questions, which were kind of similar questions, but it almost has a predetermined length that it's going to give you. And it kind of uses this numbered format, which is pretty easy to follow. And so I think if you want the information for yourself, it can be pretty useful. That's not always going to give you all the answers, but maybe just give you enough information to kind of probe a little bit further. Now, we didn't do it in this example, in this video, but you could even ask follow-up questions even further. If you had a question about one of those steps in the process of buying a home, for example, you can ask, how do I get pre-approved for a mortgage and things like that. So I think overall, I'm pretty impressed with the results here. Again, some of the most common questions that I think home buyers and sellers or even renters are asking. They may be asking friends and family and maybe asking Google, but it might not be a bad idea to check it out and ask ChatGPT. And even if you do, maybe do this on your own, come back to this video, give us a comment here, see, did you get the same response or have you gotten a different response? And that might be interesting to see too, if these answers are different depending on who asked them or how they asked them or when they asked them. Does it really spin off exactly the same information each time, or is it different each time? So hopefully you enjoyed this little exercise here. I'll be doing more of these in the future with some consumer-facing real estate questions and some that are more for real estate professionals, just to kind of see, how we can leverage ChatGPT, this new technology.